This is the Dr. Meleeka Show. Dr. Meleeka has a background as a clinical psychologist, actress, director, model, and human rights activist. The Dr. Meleeka Show will help move you towards bettering the quality of your life with positive psychology. So please welcome your host, Dr. Meleeka Clary.
It was an interesting moment for me at the time because I really wasn't seeking someone or anyone, I should say. I just hoped if I did meet someone that they would be a positive person to meet. Everything he was saying and doing was making me fall in love with him.
Custody. A lot of people quit going, that's just how it got to be. But she keeps on fighting and it takes a lot of guts. No justice, no peace!
You two are like two immature cartoon characters. Objection. Where's any of this evidence of this?
Order!
I'm sanctioning you for $15,000.
I have a right to see my son.
This is all about a child. A poor boy born into a battle. Even with your lies, I gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive. This is not justice! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
You're trying to have a judge removed.
I'll sanction her for thousands of dollars for coming to court.
How much money is Mr. K-Man, Mr. E paying you and your fellow judges to keep this woman away from her child?
Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I've gotta survive, gonna survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I'm gonna survive. Even with your lies.
Welcome to the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Welcome, fam. I am so glad that God got me up this morning to do the show. So I have to praise God for that. As you know, you have been watching the trailer. Like we promised, we will continue, long as that movie is up there on Prime Video, to show you that trailer of the movie, Three Corners of Deception. You know, I have to say that it is so important for me to release this movie, and I'm glad I did. And I thank you to all the fans that have already seen this movie. And I see you, I hear you, and I love that. I love that you are supporting me because, you know, we all have experiences in life, and we all like to share our stories and where to share them to. And I picked a wonderful platform to do that on Prime Video. You know, and I have to keep on saying that it was hard for me to share this movie because, you know, we are learned, especially me too. You know, I'm not, you know, I will say that me as a person, I was learned not to share my business. It's a learned behavior. But I'm also learned that, hey, maybe if you share your business or some things that's going on with you, maybe people will know that about you and will understand what's going on with this person? Why is she not in a happy mood? And every day is a challenge for me because I never know what's going to go on in life. But I know that must be for you guys too. And you know, my platform is surrounded around positive psychology and mental health awareness every day. And I go through it. So I'm not, you know, I'm not separate from mental illness awareness. I'm not separate from the challenges, and I'm not separate for the testimonies that I go through. I am still a human being just like everyone else. I just chose to express it in different ways. But my reasoning for expressing it is because I think that people need to know, because there's some people that did bad things to me and they have a big influence on the social life of social surroundings. And I had to share that experience that there was something going on that wasn't right. Not the fact that I just didn't agree with them. I know what the rights are judicial wise for a civilian like myself. And that is for you as well. So when I explain things about the legal law, the legal jargon, I want to say your rights as civilians, civil rights, constitutional rights, I'm saying that because, or I'm helping you understand because there's things I'm going through. So I need you to understand. So if something like this is happening to you, you'll know what to do. Now, I'm not perfect, but I am a person that went through some things. And I want you to understand that if I went through it and you don't know something about it, get some information on the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show, because this may help you in the future. There are some mistakes I've made, and there's some things I didn't make. And I will go on and on and on and try to educate you, because that's the thing about me. I try to educate individuals of things that I know. Sharing is caring, and that's what I'm about. So when I bring information to this platform, I'm trying to help you in the future. And it might be some things, like I said, I made a mistake in some areas. Like I might say to you that, I went to court and when I went through a divorce, here's a mistake. If you can get along, don't go to court, because it's out of your hands after that. You have left it to somebody else to decide what you and that other person's going to do going forward. And if you can compromise or get some type of mediation, it will be best for you to do. Say, here's a mistake. That's a mistake for me. But here's the thing about it. Even if I could have made that individual do it, he wouldn't do it. Now, I get it. Yeah, some of y'all probably saying, well, we tried that. The other person didn't want to. Yeah, you're right about that. That's the only problem. But if you put that right foot first and you try to do that, then you have no choice. Then you have to go through the court system. And unfortunately, you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. And that's where I am. We got a special guest today, but you know what? I wanted to give that introduction to you. So we are going to take a brief commercial, and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. Be right back, folks. Be right back. Hello, all. Three Corners of Deception movie is now available on Prime Video. How about that? October 14, 2023, on my 50th birthday, I am going to release this, and you guys can go ahead and help me do just that. Go see that movie. Thank you for all the support and not giving up on me. Go see that. Three Corners of Deception. Release me from all the pain and everything I've been through. Go see the movie. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for all of the support. Go see that movie. Prime Video. Prime Video. How about that? God bless you all. I love you all. It was really hard for me to do that movie sometime, because at that time, 10 years ago is what I went through. It wasn't then. So I had to take, even they say you play yourself. It's not really always easy to play yourself. You have to play yourself 10 years ago when your mind was discombobulated and you felt betrayed. You know what I mean? You felt like, life was just not it. And, not in my situation. And it is based on true events. And, unfortunately, it's about judicial deception, but it's also about romance and drama and divorce. It's something that just went to a different way. But as I changed it and went into a movie. But what's interesting about this situation, people don't understand. It's a flow technique for me. That was my release to finish this movie. Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. Welcome back. Before I left, I told you I had a special guest. Well, you know what? She's been on my platform for a while, and I just keep on putting her on because I am feeding off her energy, and I'm trying to suck everything out of her, and it hasn't been done yet. So she's still got to keep on coming on the show. Because she is, her name is Kristin. She's an attorney, Kristin. And the thing that's why I call her attorney Kristin, and the thing about her is that she's so so knowledgeable in the legal system. And I just constantly want to bring her back and forth on here because, I'm a paralegal and a psychologist, but I'm not a lawyer. And so her perspectives is really respected in my home here because what she can say can also help you because she has her experiences in the court system. So sharing is caring, and we both believe that. So come on in closer, my friends, and let's welcome the beautiful and redhead attorney Kristin. Hello, beautiful.
Hello. Change the red a little bit for the season changing. So.
Oh my goodness, it's still beautiful and red, darling. So yeah, I see beauty when I see you. So that's
Oh,
all I
thank you.
can tell you. You are so welcome, my dear. You are so welcome. Well, Kristin, you've been on this platform for a while, and we've talked about numerous of things in the court system. And I know the last time we talked about of what people can do when they file motions. And I want to get some things clear with the people out there that if they are going to file a motion, there's this word, it's called frivolous. Can you elaborate what frivolous mean to the average person? Because before dictionary.com, we may want to think that, hey, you will see this word. And if you're seeing this word and you're doing it, we got to educate you about it. So let's hit it.
Right. Thanks. So there are actually a lot of terms we use every day that have a different definition in the legal world. So frivolous, though, is similar to what it means in the everyday world, which is basically a non-meritorious claim, meaning there's really not merit behind it. You're just wasting the court's time. Come on, let's get to something here. And so we want to be careful of that because when we get the court's attention and time, you want to make sure it's something that they really need to be taking their time to do. And that's hard because when you're going through something difficult, of course, people think every single thing they're facing is the most important thing. And it's not to say that what's going on in their life and their case isn't important, but you need to look at each issue. Is this an issue that needs to come before the judge? Or is this an issue that doesn't need to be before a judge, doesn't even need to be argued about? I think we've talked a little bit before about things like, oh, they were 1 minute late on the phone call. I'm going to keep denying that.
Yes.
You got to have some reason behind it. You want to have a basis for it. So when you go to court, the judge is like, what do you want me to do? What's the remedy? That's always where the court is at. What's the remedy? What's the relief you want? And if you're putting something forth to the court that isn't even asking for a remedy, it's basically frivolous. So that's what you want to be careful of. You want some impact and strength and looking for something where you can't get relief outside of the court. And if you can only get relief with the intervention of the court, then those are meritorious motions you want to put forward. And it's okay if you don't have an attorney and you don't put it in the exact right form. You're still responsible when you get to court to understand the rules of evidence, but writing letter to the court for an issue that is something the court needs to hear, that is a strong issue, like I said, has some basis to it, you can still do it by letter. So it's okay to do that. You still have to serve the other side. You still have to follow some rules, things like that. But, think about the court. They have thousands of cases. It's such a caseload. So is your issue you're bringing forth really an issue of merit? And that's what people need to think about versus frivolous.
And you know what? You're absolutely right about that. And I fell in that category as well. And I have to say that because, I was one of them individuals that would do something pro se. And I think we said what pro se means. If you guys don't understand what that means, is that you took it upon yourself to file your own motion without an attorney. Okay. Now I've had attorneys and I've had filed them pro se. And I have wrote some things even in my motion, that look, he's making me go crazy, something like that. It's like, he's making me want to go crazy, and I think
So
I need you to help right now. Where's the remedy in that? You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, what is the judge going to do? Is he going to order you to the hospital or something? And you know what? That's a person coming from emotions. Okay.
Yes.
And I have to say that because what we do, it's like we write emotionally. See, and I don't think people understand is that's why they say hire an attorney, because they're going to be emotionless to your situation. No, don't get me wrong. You get to know a lawyer, they stop feeling about you and start seeing and they really believe in you and believe in and they care. That's different. What I'm saying is that when you first get on a case, they don't know you from Adam and Eve. So to me, they don't have that emotional tie. They don't have the emotional tie that if your son or daughter calls your house and you can't speak to them, and the other co-parent hangs up while you're saying I love you, and before you can get out I love you, the phone go click. They don't know nothing about that. Okay, so you can't write that way. You can't put these emotions in, because what you're doing is, as you said, as Kristin said, is that you're kind of wasting the court's time by not getting to the point. And you have to get to the point. We know that there's a problem, but you have to get to the point. And we know there's emotional feeling right there, and we know that that's how you're feeling, but you got to get to the point of what he's actually really doing, because the judge is not going to be able to do it that way. Now, there's some legal jargon that you could put in your motion that has to do with a phone call being hung up on the co-parent.
Yeah.
And it does say, I mean, you could say parent is interfering with child and parents parenting time. That's a good way of saying it.
Yes. And, every case is fact specific. So kind of the example I was giving may or may not apply. It was just one of the examples I was giving, as you pointed out. That's why it helps if you are able to have an attorney to decipher if that's a situation that a one-time incident is enough to go forward, or if you want a couple things to happen and make it more of a pattern. But as far as pro se, which is self-represented, even as an attorney, I've been in the legal system in one facet or another, working for over 2 decades. And at one point, I was in the legal system as a party. And I thought, I've done this. I know what I'm doing. I can represent myself. Oh no. The emotional aspect prevented me from, I didn't know what I was doing. Even though I was a very experienced attorney, I was like, did not know. So yes, there is a benefit to be able to have someone that can separate that emotion from the legal basis to help you move forward. So if you can get one, I recommend it. There's also pro bono, which means free legal advice clinics in just about every single county in Indiana as well.
Yes. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because that tells me you're Hillman. Like, people don't understand. She's Hillman. See what I mean? She's an attorney, but she's Hillman. And she even took that emotionally and felt that I can't do this. I'm going to have to move on with somebody else. So with that being said, we are going to take a brief commercial, and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Don't go nowhere first. We're still with the beautiful and amazing attorney, Kristin.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Well, we're going live. Oh, you see, we're still with attorney Kristin. Look at that. Yes, she didn't go nowhere, y'all. We still got her here. So I have to be happy about that. So, Kristin, we talked about a lot of things, but here's the thing I want to talk about: judicial deception. We talked a little bit about that last time too. Here's my thing about judicial deception. Now, I feel like not just deception, because we know the word here. When I say deception to people, it's like you can meet somebody and they tell you that they are this person or that person, and then you find out they're not that person. Okay, here's that. That's a deception. Now, is a difference between judicial deception. Now, when you get into judicial deception, and I'll give you my experience on that, and you can let me know how you feel about that. I had a judge that wrote an order before, and before he wrote that order in court, he was saying to me, "Oh, this is going to be this way, that way. I agree with you, everything." And I knew he knew my the other party. I knew they knew the judge and everything, but he made it seem like he is just going to do everything for me. He said, "Yeah, and you got a point. He did all this in the court. Oh, you got a point. Oh, I believe you." Da-da. He was doing all of this, and this is public record. And then turned around and wrote something totally the opposite. I felt like, are you kidding me? Me and my lawyer was like, wait. How he twisted this, and it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. We appealed, and I actually, I think it was something I ended up removing that judge too, and it came back. But that to me, when you have a judicial officer that does that, that's like, wow. I mean, I don't know if you experienced it, but it's kind of interesting that a judge would do that. And that's why I say judicial deception. Like, I didn't know he was going to do that. And he sure didn't display that in the court with his actions and what he was saying. And it was just unbelievable to me. And I think at that time I was like, wow, I was losing faith with the system, because if you say this and you do that, how am I going to believe anything that comes out of this order? What's your take?
What's interesting is on a basic level of expectation in everyday life, some of our disappointments with anybody and anything is an expectation that wasn't met. And what you're talking about, judicial deception, is an extreme form where all attorneys and judges are officers of the court, and we're held to a higher standard in our rules of ethics. So when something is being said, and for a judge, it's even different, because judicial canon isn't just what they say, but the appearances as well are important of what they're personifying and appearing. So from your perspective, if it was portrayed to you a certain way and then done a different way, perhaps without justification within the order, I have to be careful how I speak on things, then that would be the definition of judicial deception. And, I think I've said before, as an attorney, many, many years doing this, that is definitely something I have experienced in different courts, in different counties, definitely. But I also have to be careful how and what I say, because our rules of ethics prevent us from saying certain things that we could get in trouble as an attorney with our license if we say negative things about court or put the courts in a certain negative light. However, it is a fact and public record that there have been judges and attorneys that have been disciplined, disbarred, actions that have happened, and that is public record. It's published, so people can read it if they want to. There's a quarterly publication that comes out that all the attorneys in Indiana, most of us get it, and you can see that. But for the public, you can view that too. You can actually look things up and try to view that, and that's part of that, because it's supposed to be a self-regulating system. But it's hard to be a self-regulating system, because do you want to be the attorney that tattles? And then if you don't, so to say, tattle. But if you don't, then you get in trouble for not, if you believe something happened. But there's a process there when that does happen. But when it does happen to you, it's when it happens, because it defies explanation. Your attorney is going to be flabbergasted because it defies legal, not just expectation, but there's just no explanation. And you feel it and you know it when it's happening. When it happened in a particular case I'm thinking of in my head, everybody knew it. Sitting in the courtroom, we knew it. It was the actions, some of the nonverbal things that you wouldn't pick up on the record, but then you have to try to make a record of by saying, I noticed that you're XYZ, and say the motion or the movement that happened prior to the words being said. But you know it, you feel it. It just feels so unjust. And you feel,
Right.
What do we do now? Do I appeal? Do I ask this particular judicial officer to recuse themselves? Do you file a disciplinary complaint? What do you do? And for you, as the party in the case, as a client, like you said, you start to lose faith in the system. But I would say to people, it's not an everyday occurrence. It's not something that happens all the time. And a lot of times we kind of get a feel for where the weeds are in the system, so to say. And there are things you can even do ahead of time, such as, this I don't know about this fit. And you're allowed, as we talked about before, to ask for a different judge in certain situations. It doesn't mean you get to go around and what we call forum shop, but if your attorney knows, we need to do something here, you can do things. But it's one of the worst things that can happen. As you know, when you come to the court as a last resort for help and then feel that an unjust thing like that happened, it's the ramifications and the impact are just awful for everyone across the board.
Yes. And you know what? And that's how I felt. It's like every time in that particular court, that was just like, wow, are you serious? I mean, it's like everything that comes out of that court was just bias, and it wasn't done judicially correct. And it was just part of this. I said it in the movie, where I come from, it was the good old boy network, and I didn't appreciate that. And unfortunately, I have to say, and I wish I could say, no, that doesn't exist, but it actually does exist. And it happened in that situation. So I wasn't very happy about that. And I had to go and do certain things to get remedy, you know. You know what? Before I continue, we are going to take a brief commercial, and we'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. We're still with the beautiful Kristin. It was because of me having a voice and saying something about what had happened to me, because I can't believe it. I can't believe that these individuals put their good name and their reputation on the line just to hurt somebody because they spoke up. Yes, see, that's what happens when you speak up. I get it, but I'm not fearful because of that. Even though I went through a lot and still go through a lot of things, I got God on my side, and I feel like if that is not enough, then I don't know what it is, because I'm still standing and I'm still telling my story, and I'm going to keep on telling stories. And that is why I like film, because film, you'll be able to express things that you went through and experiences and people. You'll be amazed what you can do. Hello, all. Three Corners of Deception movie is now available on Prime Video. How about that? October 14, 2023, on my 50th birthday, I am going to release this, and you guys can go ahead and help me do just that. Go see that movie. Thank you for all the support and not giving up on me. Go see that. Three Corners of Deception. Release me from all the pain and everything I've been through. Go see the movie. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for all of the support. Go see that movie. Prime Video. Prime Video. How about that? God bless you all. I love you all. Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. We are still with the beautiful Kristin. Attorney Kristin, come on in here, girl.
Hello.
Hello. Before we went out and to break, and it's funny how that video, the clip came up about, what happened and stuff like that, what I had did. And we're telling people, yeah, it's all right. You go follow appeal or something like that. I know someone's thinking, well, look what happened to you. I don't want to do that. Look what you got. And I have to express that. That is a feeling that you will feel like, oh my gosh, should I do that? But I'm going to still say do it, because at the end of the day, you have different remedies and you can appeal. And if the appeal court doesn't do anything, because I'm in a situation that something came down, it was just like, really? No. So we got to go to the Supreme. Now, and I say, this is the remedies: trial court, appeal, and Supreme. You have those rights. But I was being denied those rights in so many situations. I mean, and I would definitely say that my situation may be different than a lot of other people, because there's so much that happened that wasn't really legal to do, but they felt that it was okay to do. So I am still going to tell people you should appeal. But here's the thing about that: not just the appealing. I just really want to give this my perspectives on this. And I know people may think, oh, that may apply to them, or if they're doing this. If you get an order in a court, in one court, and you didn't like it, you didn't like that decision, and it was final or whatever, there's a difference between res judicata and double jeopardy. Double jeopardy, basically, that's in a criminal law, and res judicata is in a lawsuit. Let's make sure that we understand what that means for people, because people don't understand civil res judicata, criminal double jeopardy. And I have to express that, because if you go to a different county and you bring up the same arguments of the same findings of whatever you did in a different county where there's a judge that ordered this, that could be considered double jeopardy or res judicata. Please explain your intake about that, and I say that because, I know a person that's in my life that did that, I have to deal with that. And they think that is okay to do, and they should know better, because they are from the legal jargon. They are not legal, but they are a judicial officer, and they know better. But you're not supposed to do that. Please explain to me, Kristin, about that.
Well, I think the biggest thing in the context of family law, I'm going to remove criminal law for a second. I mean, unless you want to talk about it. That's
double jeopardy.
Bailiwick.
Go for it. Mm-hmm.
Actually prepping for a murder jury trial coming up soon. But in the family law arena, there's something called jurisdiction. And so once a court establishes jurisdiction, that's the court that has it. So people that are filing a claim in a court that already has jurisdiction, and then they don't like it, and then they think they can go somewhere else and file, that's not proper. It's already been decided by this particular court, and even if it isn't decided, they have jurisdiction, and you'd have to agree to move that. So the situation you're talking about where someone said, I don't like that, I'm going to refile over here, that they may be prevented from doing that. Now, the issue is somebody has to raise that, is that they're being prevented. So some people are pretty deceitful and will try something like that, and you don't get notice of it, and they'll try a default judgment and all kinds of things. But if you don't, you can overturn those things if you find out. But the big thing is that somebody has to say, oh, no, you can't do that. If the court doesn't know, then one of the parties has to find out. So it prevents you from doing that. Also, repetitive motions that are already decided that are not ripe to be heard again. It needs to be ripe to be heard. For example, I think we talked before about sometimes with child support, for example, a certain amount of time period has to happen if they just did a modification, as well as a change in circumstance. That's not always true that it has to be a certain time period, because a change in circumstance could be strong enough to justify doing it early. So then you could do that. But there are things that make it not possible for somebody. Now, the problem is if a court that doesn't have jurisdiction or shouldn't be re-deciding something that's already been decided without any of those changes of circumstance in the family law context, it can wreak havoc because nobody knows what's happening. It's not justified. They shouldn't have even looked at it. But litigants, especially self-represented ones, sometimes will try all of those things. Now, in other civil matters and in criminal matters, there may be a situation where you do go to a different jurisdiction. For example, I have a civil case, not a family law case, where we were not getting remedy. And this was one of the cases where we felt that there was deception going on in the process. I'm not saying whether it was the judge or the clerk or just there was a lot of stuff. I mean, the FBI investigation was involved. There's a lot of things going on. And it is now going to a federal court system because there were federal issues. At the same time that we have state court issues, you may have federal court issues and that overlap where you could have a remedy in those different courts. So there are situations where you can go to different courts. But the one you're talking about where someone just says, I don't like it, I'm going over here, they can't do that. They're not supposed to do that.
Exactly. They're not supposed to do that. And that is considered, I think that also follow, if you're an attorney and you're doing that, I think that also falls in judicial deception. Because to me, you're misleading the court that you're in, because you know that those findings were already dealt with. And that's not good. That's a form of deception. And I have to express that because that's where I'm at. That's why we came up with judicial deception. Why do I keep on, expressing that? Because that's my experience. And, and it's just not good when you go through that. And I have to share that to other people because, maybe other people know that and maybe people don't know that. But these are the things you don't do because you can be barred from being at that court, or if you're an attorney and you're doing that, I guess you can get disciplined eventually. But, if somebody was to report that that's what you're doing, it's not right for you to keep doing that. And it's also confusing because you did this at this court, you did that at this court, you did this at this court. And most of the time, judges is not always looking at everything. You would think they do. So that they probably can get through the cracks before they even catch wind. So you're right about it's up to the litigants, which is the attorneys or whoever, to mention this and put it on file. Hey, no, he or she should be barred from doing this. Or, you know what I mean? So they're not supposed to. You know what? With that being said, we are going to take a brief commercial and we will be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Don't go nowhere, folks. We are still with the beautiful Kristin.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We're coming live. We are still with the very beautiful attorney Kristin. Come on in here.
I'm here.
I just love it. Kristin, we constantly talk about different things on this platform. And, I think it's very important that people do know if you don't like something, you just can't just keep on jumping to court. And here's the thing about it. When you do that, there is consequences, folks. There's different consequences, like maybe sanctions, or because you technically at that point wasting the court's time. Because what are you doing? Now it gets kind of shady here, and this is the thing. How about if I put a different word in there and I go to a different county and it's same assets or same property or whatever I'm trying to go after? How about if I just put in a different word or something that changes it? Like, because motions are like, if you're going for something, you file something, you put it in your little title. Well, let's say if I changed it just with a word or two, but in the meat of it, it's the same. What do you
That's
think?
a good question. And again, we're still talking about jurisdiction and deception, and they're going to be barred by that. And then even if they weren't barred by jurisdiction, within that particular court, if in the family law context, if there isn't a change of circumstance to justify even having that motion, they're trying to ask for a different ruling without going through the proper procedure. Like I said, it has to be ripe. And so just changing a few words, while it may be technically changing something, but is the meat just the same? And that's why content, it's not just content, but context does matter in those situations. And when it's happening, if an attorney is intentionally doing that, they can be subject to discipline, because all attorneys are officers of the court. Their statements that they give are taken as truth. And if they're found to be intentionally not being truthful, now, of course, we make mistakes. We're people. But intentionally not being truthful to the court, that's subjects them to discipline and all of those things. But it also can be a problem for your client, because you may be barring them from doing things in the future with that case because of that. And if the person does that self-represented, same thing. I've even seen cases where a self-represented person, we'll kind of go back to frivolous a little bit, would just file letter after letter after letter after letter after letter. And they eventually, it was so bad, they got barred from filing on that.
Wow.
I mean, there's a little more to it, but it was just, they're like, you're not asking for remedy. You can't keep doing this. So you do want to be mindful, intentional, and not deceptive. And if you are dealing with somebody that is, reach out. If you're self-represented, reach out to an attorney to ask what to do about it. Don't just let it happen, because this is a self-regulated system. We want the best system we have. There's always going to be a bad apple in everything somewhere, whatever system it is. But it's not going to be better unless you draw attention to it. Just like you do with your experience, you're drawing attention to help make it better, to help people be better. And that's what that is about. So yes. You said that wonderfully, my dear. Thank you for that. And I have to, agree with you, because, and I numerously say this, there's bad people and there's good people. There's bad judges and there's good judges. There's bad lawyers and there's good lawyers. And there's one right there on my platform. She's right here. That's a good lawyer there. Okay. And I have to say that, yes, because it's true to me. You know what I mean? But see, you got bad police officers, good police officers. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you got bad teachers and good teachers. I ran against some bad teachers or a professor. I had to get rid of a professor for racism. I know, you wouldn't think, right? I was like, wait a minute, how do all the black people get a D?
I mean, it didn't make no sense. Yeah, that was my days in Massachusetts. We got rid of that police officer. I mean, not police officer. We got rid of that college professor, and then come to find out they didn't have a master's. So you supposed to have a master's to actually be a college professor. I know that because I was 15 years a college professor, but at that time I wasn't. I was a student. So this fighting in me has started long time ago, people. I don't like corrupting people. I don't like people doing things that they're not supposed to do. And I have to mention that because that was something that it wasn't that the fact that I got this grade. Actually, it wasn't even a D. I actually failed. Like he gave me a B and it failed me. And I was like, wait a minute. And then all the other students started talking and we were like, wait a minute. Did you fail too? And it happened to be all color. But here's the funny thing about this. It's not funny. It's funny now. One of my friends at that time, and I have several, but one of my friends, they actually was a Caucasian. And I was like, she was like, I got an A. I said, are you serious? She said, and I say her because I love her so much. And she's like, I got an A. She said, what happened to y'all was not right. and I mean, and I have to say that because it was just like, wow. So at that time, we all got together and we petitioned. And like I said, the school didn't say it was racist. They didn't say that. They just was like, well, we had to remove that professor because they didn't have a master's. They shouldn't even be performing or whatever the duties. I had another professor look at my work, and guess what? I ended up getting a C minus. Or yeah, I think it was a C. No, I actually got a C. Passed the class. I was like, from an F to it. Yeah, but that was weird though. But it was weird because they had somebody outside looked at it and was like, there's no way that. But, these are the things that, during my 50 years of living, I had experienced. But I got many, many stories of why I am who I am. I don't, it's not that I don't take no for an answer. I just don't look at something if it doesn't add up. I mean, A and B, you go correlation to A and B. You don't jump from A and then go all the way to F. It doesn't make sense to me. Makes sense to me. Makes sense, people. And that's the same thing when we talk about judicial deception. Makes sense of what you're doing. Because if it doesn't make sense to the average person and it doesn't make sense to I won't say another lawyer, then it doesn't make sense. It's not making sense what you're doing. And so I that's why I developed being a human rights activist, because I really believe that there's some things that has been taken out of context, and many people have doubts with the legal system. But here we have to have positivity with the legal system. We have to, because at the end of the day, that's all we have. And so it's not like you're going to get out of it. So, and I say this because if you got somebody that burglarized your home, where do you think you have to go? You have to go to the court system. So that's what we have for remedy. What we're trying to explain and show that if there are bad ones out there, let's start letting them know we know about you and we want you out. We want you out. And if there is somebody, especially if it's new law students or judges or new, if you are intending to do something like that, please, there's people from here, we are crying out, please do your job. Please do a good job, because we need faith. We need positivity in our lives. We need to be very positive that the judicial system is going to work for civilians like ourselves. All right. And on that note, we are going to take a brief commercial, and we'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Don't go nowhere, folks. We are still with Kristin. Don't go nowhere. It was an interesting moment for me at the time, because I really wasn't seeking someone, or anyone, I should say. I just hoped if I did meet someone, that they would be a positive person to meet. Everything he was saying and doing was making me fall in love with him.
Oh yeah? I know every judge and lawyer. Oh yeah? Fighting over
custody. A lot of people quit going, that's just how it got to be. But she keeps on fighting and it takes a lot of guts. No justice, no peace!
You two are like two immature cartoon characters. Objection. Where's any of this evidence of this?
Order! I'm sanctioning you for $15,000.
I have a right to see my son.
This is all about a child. A poor boy born into a battle. Even with your lies, I gotta survive. Instead, I'm gonna survive. I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive. Gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive. This is not justice.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
No justice!
You're trying to have a judge removed.
I'll sanction her for thousands of dollars for coming to court.
How much money is Mr. K and Mr. G paying you and your fellow judges to keep this woman away from her child?
Said I'm gonna survive. I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive. Gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive. I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I've gotta survive. Gonna survive. Said I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna survive. Even with your lies.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. Hey, folks, we're still with the beautiful Kristin, attorney Kristin at that. Come on in here, Kristin.
I'm here.
You know, Kristin, it's always a pleasure to have you on my show. I feel like we get something out there. I feel like if people are tuning in, they can't wait to see Kristin, attorney Kristin. I can't wait till she gets on there because she's giving us some information. And I want people to feel like that. I want them to have their notepad and their pen and ready to take some notes, because it's not just my experience, but it's also other people that's been going through things and have been going through things. And I need to know and to make sure that they have an outlet. You know, we don't know everything, but we do know something, and it may help you in the future of your something. So that's why I love this platform so much. It's not just based on, you know, clinical psychology and positive psychology. It's also a positive way of doing certain things in life, because I have a numerous of different guests on here and they talk about several different things. And it's not just in the legal world, but they also have different testimonies and experience that they can share from their own, and things that they're like, hey, I would have did it this way, so you may want to do that. And that's how I feel. Like in some cases, when I talk about the legal justice, I say, hey, do it this way. And I have to say it because I made a movie about something that you have two individuals that got along at the beginning and does not get along. But whatever those two individuals went through, there was some other things that should never took place. Okay. Yes. And I say that, and I'm always going to stick with that. That's where my bad experience came from. And that's why I had made this movie. I'll tell people over and over and over, I would never make a movie on breaking up with somebody just because we don't want to be together. That's not my motivation to go ahead and air my business because I'm sad that he don't want to be with me. That ain't it. The movie needed to be made because of the judicial deception that was going down, had to be displayed, because I was shocked. I was shocked. And I mean, it hit me like, what? Somebody wake me up, because am I dreaming? And it just felt like, okay, as many times that I try to put the pen down and say, nah, I'm not going to go ahead. I'm good. I'm not going to release this. I'm not going to do it. Even for this movie, it's on Prime Video. I even decided before we were never going to put this movie out there on a larger platform. Wasn't going to do it. Selective theaters is what I was good with. And then it just kept not going nowhere. And it said, you know what? You're going to have to release this. And you're going to have to let all the people look at it. And that's why I did that. So I am so glad that, that I was able to release this. And with that being said, Kristin, it's always a pleasure. You will be back, my girl. You have to come back. Yes, you have to come back. We always have something to talk about, and I really want people to get some information from you and myself as well. And we're far from done, so we definitely need to educate individuals so we can try to make better decisions. I would say, decision making. And with that being said, you already know Kristin's information. She is on Google as well. But guess what, people? On Prime Video, Three Corners of Deception is available. You do get to see Kristin in action as her acting skills. And she does a wonderful job. And I'm just so blessed that she was a part of my movement. That's what I say, a movement. So go check out that movie, Three Corners of Deception, on Prime Video. And it's always a pleasure. Thank you again, Kristin, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, my dear. You're welcome. And with that being said, if you're looking for Dr. Meleeka Clary, you can drmeleekaclary.com. That's my website. And you can always Google me. And like I said, you can find me anywhere. I'm on the web. But if no one have said this to you today, I love you and I want you to be okay. And that's why I do this show, for you, because I'm a person, a human being just like you. I'm not going to get out of it. So let's walk this together, this human being life together. So God bless you and take care of yourself. Enjoy. Bye.
You've been watching the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Tune in next week as Dr. Meleeka will help you shift towards a better life. But this show doesn't stop there. She'll provide helpful tips regarding surviving the entertainment industry and the judicial system with practical information. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, here on the Bold Brave TV network.